Hi, as part of the SpinFX Easy Suite 2022 R1 release, we further enhanced the Easy PCC solution. This short video will give you a quick summary of some of the new functionality points that we've delivered. So through this release, we've looked at three key areas that the enhancements fall into. The first is investigation, and that really focuses in on being able to better control the output of the PCC solution when investigating errors. We've added additional content, so new reports can be either built or included into the tool for better, for better investigation of errors. And thirdly, in the setup, we've made it easier to set up multiple countries and also allowed quick links to jump into the Easy Reporter solution for report setup. So with these continued enhancements, and they do continue to be built out in each release, it continues to drive further value for new and existing customers using this solution. So let's take a look now at some of the specific enhancements. So firstly, when drilling into an error in the Payroll Control Center, previously you had the flexibility that you could add any report and any fields from any report onto the screen as an overview section, but it was all grouped together. So what we've now allowed you to do is, as part of our setup, is configure that report setting and exactly how it would be laid out. So you can see on the screen here we've added a configure button. That will take you to a screen where you can actually set the headings and the fields. So you can see on the screen that's popped up, we've got the employee details heading with 3 fields in there and overpayment details and 2 fields under there. So when that actually runs in the PCC, that now groups the information into those areas and highlights the headings and so on. So it just makes it a bit easier to read and to understand and break up the data. So the more that we can do in regards to this output look, it's very important to the users because they can quickly focus on the areas that they need to investigate or understand about the employee's error check. The second change is when setting up the PCC. So through the SpinFX version of the Payroll Control Center, all of the error checks and investigation reports are essentially all of the checks are reports that sit behind the scenes that you can easily build or the customer can easily build. As part of this change, we actually have added an edit button so that when you actually set up these reports, you can go directly to from the PCC setup to the report itself. You can modify the report and then you can come back to the PCC. So it gives you a lot better integration. You can even test run the report as part of that execution straight from this screen. So this really speeds up the implementation process, but it also for the customer, creating the error checks themselves makes it simpler for them to use. The third change is about is one of the areas when you've got multiple countries or multiple payroll areas. So often you have a payroll check such as net pay being greater than a certain value. So one of the issues there in probably the standard PCC and previously with the SpinFX solution was if you wanted different threshold values per payroll area or per country, you would have to create additional checks, which is not that difficult, but it just means more maintenance. Now what we've allowed you to do is set up essentially those checks at a variant level. So you can see the variants on the bottom of the screen, and we might have 3 variants, one for greater than $5,000, one for greater than $10,000, and one for $7,500. What we can do is we can then say, well, only use this check, this variant, for the weekly payroll, and this one, second one for the monthly payroll. So you can actually have different checks all within the same report. And then, so these two are set at the payroll area level, But you can also set it at the country grouping level. So for example, country grouping 10, which is for US, will mean any USA employees will have this check of greater than $7,500. So this really simplifies the setup of the reports. It means that if you ever want to add one extra field or some extra fields to the report, you can just modify this one single report by clicking the edit button. And that will be added into all of the checks, but you can have different thresholds at each different payroll area levels and different country groupings. So it speeds up the whole setup of the tool. The next one is that previously it was possible to add any Easy Reporter report into the error drill down for investigation. We've now extended that further and allowed you to add multiple reports. So these reports will be run as soon as you drill into the error. So you can actually combine different types of reports onto the one screen. You might have a summary of the person's pay, you might have some audit details, you might have some further master data details. So they can be added. You can actually have multiple reports in different orders as you require. Of course, you still have the web reporting tile where you can actually run these reports and run multiple reports directly, but these reports get run automatically as soon as you jump into the tool into an error. So it actually makes it simpler to just have the data that you need on the screen as you require. So these are all set at the individual error check level. So they can be different per error check, in other words. So why this is important, it's really to give you access to the information immediately as you want to quickly investigate the errors and resolve them as fast as you possibly can. The next one is the audit. We've added the audit logs from the Payroll Control Center into our reporting solution, which means now that you can actually quickly and easily create reports that will report on the audit information for a particular error check. So you can see here we've actually drilled into an error for the employee, and we can actually see the error, the previous changes that were made for that particular error. We can see if it's been resolved, we can see any status change reasons, so if you put any messages in there, you can see that information. Now these audit reports can be linked into pretty much to run automatically, or you can link them into our web reporting menu so that you can run them on demand. And the advantage there is that you can look at these for one pay period or multiple pay periods. So you can actually see what actions were taken in the last 2 or 3 periods if that same error check had occurred for the same employee. So especially useful if there's somebody new coming into the payroll team and they're not sure whether an overpayment is an error or not. They can actually see what previously happened for that same employee. So yeah, this is really just to give you access to information that previously you'd have to go out of the PCC, go and search for the employee and for the error to investigate that further. We've also extended our own audit logs within the Spinifex Easy Suite solutions to track the Payroll Control Center execution reports. So this will give you a quick way to understand which reports are being run, how long they're being run for, how many times they're being run, and so on. So it just allows you to further monitor your own system. And also if Spinifex comes and does an audit or talks to the customer about where you can be improved, we can actually get a very quick view of how you're using the tool. So this is useful for usage, but also being able to track if there's particular reports that are running for a very long time. You can see which ones they are, and they can potentially be improved in terms of performance, maybe by tweaking the report or maybe the runtime parameters. The next one is we've added in the ability to report on the CATS DB tables, and this is one of the common errors that often customers want to know if they're using the CATS interface, to know if there's been any errors in the system when on the import of the CATS data. So we've enabled the fields. Reports can then be built based on these fields to make extra error checks to highlight any issues there. So that's just a quick summary of the release itself. The release is available out to pilot customers 9th of March this year, 2022, and it will be going out to and made available to further customers on the 22nd of April as the full release goes out. Thanks for your listening.